Hi, this is Ben Danta, and today I'd like to talk about anatomy. I want to talk about what is currently being done in the world of prosthetics, the methodology used to control your prosthetics, and how I intend to go about it. At the moment, there are three main ways that are being used. The first way that's being used is that a lot of prosthetics have just pre-programmed functionality. They don't adapt to what your situation is. They don't change what they can do. They have a set number of functions, and those functions are controlled through muscle triggers. Those muscle triggers are done with sensors on your arm or on your back, depending on where you've lost. For somebody who's lost above the elbow, they'll put them on the shoulder muscles here at the back that can be triggered without necessarily moving your entire shoulder or your entire arm, and those will then trigger the hand to do what it needs to do. The second method that's usually done is vocal controls, where you have a chip on your hand that can pick up your voice. You give it a specific command. Again, pre-programmed functions. You can't tell them to open one finger or bend your index finger halfway or something like that. And then the third method, which is the one I'm going to be focusing on, similar to the first method, uses sensors on your arms. It's a little more difficult to do because you can't do it so easily when you've lost more than, say, half of your arm, or half of your lower arm rather, because your muscles on your back and your muscles in your upper arm are not made for controlling your hand. What I'm going to do relies on the fact that what many people don't realize, most of the muscles that move your hand, move your fingers, are not in your hand. They're these muscles in your arm here. The only muscles that are in your hand are actually what I have left here on the thumb, which controls how your thumb does that. It basically just moves around your thumb. Everything that controls your fingers doing that is here in your arm. The muscles that pull your fingers in are on the inside of your arm, and the ones that pull them out are on the outside of your arm. So you can put sensors on your muscles here, which can pick up a specific electrical impulse. It's similar to what they use for testing heart conditions and that sort of thing. It picks up an electrical impulse in the muscle, and my brain can still tell the muscle to move, and then that'll move the finger. Now, that can be much more controlled. That can be much more precise. I can have it pick up a low signal as a small movement or a strong signal as a big movement. Ideally, in the future, I would like to go for specific surgery because they have made sensors that can actually be implanted. The reason for this is the sensors that you put on your skin have to be very sensitive in order to pick up your movements through your skin. What that effectively means is that if you move your index finger, the sensor that is reading for your middle finger might pick that up as a signal, even though it's in a different location. The sensors that they put inside your muscle are actually, they're much smaller, they're much less sensitive, but they go right at the base of the muscle group that moves a specific finger. So that sensor for that finger will only ever pick up that finger. You won't move this finger and another finger moves. There is actually a fourth method through which a lot of prosthetics work, which is mechanical. But this doesn't really apply to my situation. Although I could have something that relies on me moving my hand like that to open or close, that's very simple. It's usually something done for very cheap prosthetics for children who are growing, who are going to need a new prosthetic every year because the hand is just too small. For me, I'm going straight through to 3D printing a hand that I can use for what I want to do. Now, on the actual activation side of things, what you've got is you normally have little actuators. They're these little electrical pistons. You feed an electrical signal into it, and then it pushes or it pulls. They normally pull on fishing line, and that acts as a tendon, basically, which pulls your finger in, and when it relaxes, it pulls back, straightens your finger out again. What I intend to use is not, in fact, that, because I think that that's a bit too limited in terms of the space consideration that I have here. I actually have less space to work with than most conventional prosthetics because usually you're looking at somebody who's lost their entire hand. I have to fit everything into a smaller space, plus the actuators are incredibly expensive, whereas there are materials in the world that you can feed an electric current through. They're metal wires that contract when heated, which is very strange behavior where most things expand when heated. These metals contract when heated, so they can actually be used as an active tendon that you feed an electrical signal through. So that's going to be the methodology that I'm going to use. The sensor will be here on my arm. It'll feed into a chip that reads the signal strength coming from there and from which sensor it comes. That will feed into another chip which feeds, which sends electric signal through the wire. That electricity through the wire will cause it to heat up and contract, and we'll phase the chip so that it can increase or decrease the strength of the current flowing in the wire and make the hand close faster or slower or only part way. So that's the basics of how I'm going to do it, the basics of what's currently done. I feel like the voice controlled stuff and the things that they put on your back, they're much less functional given the opportunities that I have, and given the type of injury I'm dealing with. I feel that it's much more suitable to do something that's more precise, particularly when I want to help somebody who wants to take that hand and go back to work. If their work isn't something easy, like an office job that doesn't require a lot of manual dexterity, it's going to be a lot better if they have more precision, more options available rather than just certain commands. It also means that they don't have to think about it in the heat of the moment. Something happens, you need to quickly do something. You instinctively reach out to do it, and your hand will actually do what your mind wants it to do. If you like this video, feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you like what I'm doing on this channel, feel free to support me. My Patreon link will be in the description below as well. Thanks, and have a great day. Cheers!